Hey everybody, Jeff Freeman here with the Curse of Oak Island and Beyond live stream, and we are live. I tell you what, we have sitting in the co-host chair tonight, the very lovely and admin of just about everything related to the Curse of Oak Island and Beyond, Linda Simpson. Thank you.
Hey, everybody.
Do you like that introduction? I really
Oh,
planned
that's
that
great.
out.
Now I
Oh,
feel obligated.
oh, well, thank you so much, Linda, for co-hosting tonight. I know this is one of those shows where we always get excited, especially when we have special guests, and we do. And we'll talk about that here in just a moment. But as we get rolling here on the show tonight, I wanted to thank everybody that's showing up. We got so many people that already joined before we even go live, and I really appreciate each and every one of you guys for coming by. Thank you so much. Renee is out there. Nathan Bishop. Oh my gosh, we got Glenn, the Jersey lady. Jan is out there. She's working solo tonight, working the chat, taking care of things. Tom Burns. Hey, Tom. Dana's here. Let's see who else. Indy's Antics is here. Court Lindahl. And Jeff's in the house. Seeing Jeff out there. Oh my gosh, Kat's here. And of course, oh my gosh, look at all the chat. I can't believe it. Paula was like the first one again. Wig is here. Just thank you guys all for coming by tonight. Really appreciate it. Hey, I want to talk about a couple things we got coming up here in the next week or so. Next week, we have, this weekend, I got to talk about that, don't I, Linda? This weekend show.
Yes. Saturday.
Yes, we kind of slipped this one in there. Saturday.
It's an odd time, too. It's a very unusual time for us.
Yeah. What time is it again?
It's 1 o'clock Eastern.
1 o'clock Eastern time. We have Luca Santoni, Gretchen Cornwall, and
Andrea de Robelant.
Thank you. I wasn't going to butcher that last name. They are coming on. They have the TV series. Luca has been working. He's a film director. He's been on the show before. And he is, they have just released, I think today, as a matter of fact, episode number 3 of the Templars TV series. So episode 3 just came out.
Sinclair Legacy.
Yes, the Sinclair Legacy is the name of this one, right? And Gretchen is in it. She's a historian, of course. It talks in there, and Andrea is also does the same thing. And so we're going to have all 3 of them on the show on Saturday at 1 o'clock Eastern. That's going to be a lot of fun. You guys, if you like the Templars, you're going to want to be here for that one because they're going to talk about all the filming, everything, and what is in the basically inside of episode number 3. Talking about the Sinclair family. So that's going to be a fun one. Next Wednesday, the 19th, we have James Keenan coming on, and Shannon DeSalvo is going to be, this is Skinwalker Ranch, heading down Skinwalker Ranch and all of the stuff going on in Utah. That's going to be James Keenan's an author. He's been on the show. Great guy. He knows all about the petroglyphs and pictographs out at McConkey Ranch. Great guy. We're going to have him on. Shannon's going to be co-hosting. And then next Thursday, we have it will be episode number 2 of the Beyond Oak Island, and that's going to be with Rob Westrick.
So that's the riches of Poverty Island.
Yes. And that's actually the second
continuation, right?
Yeah.
We had Rob on before when we talked about Poverty Island with the snakes and, all the boxes of gold that were chained together and thrown over the side of the ship.
Yep. And Rob wasn't here for that one, was he? He wasn't on that particular episode, but he is this time out there. Isn't that right? Yeah, if I remember correctly. Because, so that's going to be a lot of fun. So you guys, we got some great shows coming up. And, of course, we're getting closer and closer to the Curse of Oak Island starting up next month, November 15th. And we are going to have on the 16th, when we do our recap of that season premiere, Matty Blake is joining us for the show. Matty Blake will be here. He's going to come on. He probably won't stay long, but he's going to help come and usher in the show for us and kick off the season premiere. So, I'm looking forward to it. So we're going to have Matty Blake here with us. And of course, our guest tonight knows Matty Blake. He got to meet him as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Matty's always been a great friend of the show, and we appreciate him a lot. So we're going to be doing that. And I also want to give a shout out to a couple of different shows. As you guys know, most of you that come here on the show tonight, that about Jake Roberts and the Ghost of Bacon podcast. He's going to have a new episode on Sunday night, and I think his are at 7 to 8, right? Is that 7 to 8?
7 to 8 Eastern, right?
Yeah.
And so Jason Mercer on with him.
Yes, him and Jay. So Jake Roberts and his guest Jason Mercer. That's going to be on Sunday, and then on Friday night, History Hunters with Court Lindahl and of course John Edwards. That show is really taken off. It really, they're doing so well with that. It's so interesting. I think this particular episode, he told me what it was too, and I was trying to remember. The Vatican. It has to do with what the archives in the Vatican. That's what it was.
Secrets of the Vatican.
I know. Wouldn't you love to get in there and dig around through that? I would. Oh, I could spend a lifetime in that place digging up some history. So, History Hunters, Court Lindahl, John Edwards, Friday night. That one's at 5 or 6. Court, you're out there in the chat. Tell me what time it starts. Yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot. Yep, let us know. Anyway, so that's what we got coming up. And if you are out there watching tonight, please click on that subscribe button for us. And if you like the content of our show, give us a thumbs up, and that really helps us out a lot with the YouTube algorithms. Court says 6 p.m. Eastern. It's called The Secrets of the Vatican Archive and More. Friday night, 6 p.m. Eastern. You guys want to catch that one, and that'll be a great show. All right. What do you think, Linda? Should we?
We should do it.
Let's get ready to start the show. I know I've been running my jaw for quite a bit here. It's time to quit doing that and get rolling here. So stand by, folks. We'll be right back with our special guest, Melvin Abt.
This is Robert Clotworthy, the narrator of The Curse of Oak Island, and I have a question for you. Could it be that you are listening to The Curse of Oak Island and Beyond live stream?
This is a top pocket find, mate, for sure.
All right, everybody, and we are back, and we have our very special guest, Melvin Abt, with us tonight. Melvin, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you guys so much for having me, Jeff and Linda.
Let me turn this up a little bit. There we go. Yeah, I tell you what, and Melvin kind of has a special situation going tonight. He told us he was going to come on the show with us, and we really appreciated that so much, and he was so determined to be here. Tell us what you got going on there, just in case we hear.
So I have a newborn. There he is.
Hey, all right.
Where are you?
All right.
So we're dealing with a newborn. He's pretty good baby so far, but he does get fussy sometimes. And if you hear him in the background, I apologize.
It's not a problem. Like I said, we said earlier, this is a family show. We're going to have some fun. And I tell you what, if he joins in, hey, he can join in. We'll put him on camera too.
All right.
All right. So we have this particular episode that was on. This is the first one for season number 3 of Beyond Oak Island, and of course, it is this one was called the Atocha's Emerald City. And I tell you, this is I personally myself, I don't know, Linda, you've been down in that area quite a bit, Florida Keys and all that. It's been a while, right?
My favorite place. Yeah, it's probably been 9 years since I was there the last time.
Yep. And we've had some experiences down there when we had our good friend Rob Westrick on the show and talking about the 1715 fleet. And in Melvin, I guess the Atocha was actually part of the 1715 fleet, was it not?
No. So
no? Okay.
There was a separate fleet of ships about 100 years prior in 1622.
Okay.
So just to give you some historical context, for a period of about 350 years, the Spanish sent goods from the colonies back to Spain in fleets, mainly for protection, but also they sent as much as once because sometimes there were hurricanes and several ships were lost in storms and never seen again. So only certain ships made it back. So there's several periods, 1622, 1715, 1733, just in the Florida Keys, where there are Spanish galleons all strewn along, the coast of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And the Atocha was a part of the 1622 Tierra Firma fleet.
Now, again, if I'm wrong on this one, but now it talked about the Atocha actually bringing up the rear of the fleet. Is that right?
Yeah, it's the rear
right.
guard of the fleet.
Okay. And what was it? What do you know what that? I mean, was that to like a rear guard, so it was protecting from attack from behind, I guess, or?
So typically the ships that carried the goods of the crown were the most heavily armored, carried a company of soldiers. The Atocha itself carried 20 guns, 20 bronze cannons, and these are 9 foot long, 3,000 pound cannons that could shoot probably about a mile away from them. So they're very heavily armored ships compared to the other merchant galleons. Exactly. There's one at the Archive of the Indies in Seville that we donated in 1975.
Wow.
That's still at the Archive of the Indies today.
That's awesome. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I had to show
we're still missing a few of them.
Are you?
As hard as it is to believe, cannons, you'd think that they wouldn't move very far, but there's a lot of sand out there and it's constantly shifting. Wow.
Yeah, that's amazing. That cannon right there, folks. I mean, that thing, I can't imagine how much that weighs, but that's pretty impressive. And you said you have not found them all.
Correct. Yeah. We're still missing about 8 of them.
Oh, wow.
And they're valued at about $1 million a piece in today's market value.
Melvin, were the cannons one of the first things that you found?
Good question.
So no, they started searching in an area very far south of where the main pile was discovered, and they found a big galleon anchor along with some other smaller artifacts, coins and pins and spikes, musket balls, ballast stones. And they found little bits and pieces of that for miles before they ever found anything substantial that proved, they were on the trail of the Atocha.
Yep. Wow. It's quite amazing. And I know one of the things too, and I had to pop that up there real quick. And that would be this lady right here, correct?
Yep, that's my mom.
All right. So thank you, Taffy, for coming on the show or being, in the chat tonight. I really appreciate that very much, supporting Melvin. That's awesome. So, that's amazing. And the whole thing about the all the armament of that particular ship, and taking it down, now during the episode, and when you guys were looking at the map, and I'm trying to remember his name. I got to look at it. Oh, the captain, Tim Mead.
Tim Mead.
Yeah. Now he was explaining about how the Atocha actually went down, but then lost some of its weight, its ballast or whatever, and then actually surfaced again. Is that right?
Yeah, from historical records and briefings of other survivors of the wreck that supposedly watched the ship go down. They saw it sink on its side, and a few days later, a salvage crew that was dispatched from Havana located the Atocha, but they couldn't get inside because all the hatches were still sealed, and it was 50 feet deep at the deepest part. So they weren't, using modern technology like we use today, a scuba tank. They had a dive bell where they would dive 20 feet, stick their head into a bell, and dive down deeper to try to recover whatever artifacts they could.
Right.
They were able to recover a small swivel gun and some other armaments, but no treasure from the Atocha. And then exactly about a month later, there was a second storm that lifted the Atocha's deck, and we believe broke it from the bottom hole of the stern or the ship, which remained where it was essentially, and the bow and stern section of the ship, the stern deck and castle, floated for another several miles, dropping artifacts the entire way.
Wow.
And the stern castle in particular would have housed, the wealthiest passengers, high-level members of clergy, and in particular, we're interested in it because there's 35 chests listed on the manifest for the Catholic Church. So everyone else in the 1600s who was getting on board had to label what was in their chest. 500 coins, 2 pounds of silk, 100 blue beads. Where the Catholic Church had all say. They did not have to report what was in there. Just one chest, 2 chests, 3 chests. So we anticipate that we're going to find some, high dollar religious reliquaries and other really valuable, interesting artifacts that probably never been seen before.
Wow. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. That is so cool. I mean, and this has to be, this has been a lifelong thing for much of your family, with Mel Fisher, and team finding it initially. And it took a while. They were searching out there. They had like a general idea of where the Atocha went down, but they started searching out there and then found it spread over, but it took several years to actually make the first find, right? Was it like 9 years or something like that?
Yeah. So I'm a very, very small part of this saga. It's over 50 years so far. Mel started in 1969 in the Florida Keys looking for the Atocha. And he actually worked an area in the Middle Keys about 100 miles away from where he would end up finding it. Using historical research and a friend from Vero Beach, Dr. Eugene Lyon, who was doing a dissertation research in Spain in the archive of the Indies. He translated old shipping documents and historical manifests about storms and found word about the Atocha and clued Mel in that they were searching in the wrong location. So Mel moved the whole operation to where we are currently searching today. And within a year, they had started finding the galleon anchor, other artifacts, ballast stones. So they knew they were on the trail. But Mel believed that it was the Atocha. They didn't have any definitive proof for at least another year.
That was going to be my next question, was how did they, what was the key piece that told you that told them that it was the Atocha?
So I believe they found a few silver bars, and they're 80 pounds. They look like a loaf of bread, and they're stamped with Spanish markings and registry numbers and all different types of markings. Well, the first one they found, Mel had Dr. Eugene Lyon, look at the serial numbers on the bar and compare them to those on the manifest. And before he even got back to the dock, he had a scale set up and news reporters ready to film them finding the first Atocha bar and verifying it. And sure enough, they did weigh it, and it was something like 68.5 pounds, 7 ounces, 68 pounds, 7 ounces, exactly what was listed on the manifest.
Wow.
So they knew they'd had the Atocha at that time.
That's amazing. Yeah, I brought up a picture just now, and I think is this like the bars you're talking about that were found?
Yeah, that's a small pile of them.
A small pile.
What we refer to as the mother lode was a stack of about 1,000 of them, 970 in one pile.
That's just amazing to me. I mean, you think about a ship carrying treasure, and you think about a few chests of gold coins or silver, or a chest of jewels and whatnot. But the actual amount, that's what is so mind-boggling about what you're finding there, is the total amount of not just one, these bars. I mean, 1,000 of them, and then the 5.5 pounds of emeralds so far.
Yeah, and they weren't even looking for emeralds. They were making an excavation in an area along the trail, and it started to rain down onto them. And they, over the next couple weeks, they recovered a handful, and then a jar full, and then it turned into a pound. And they named the area Emerald City, and they go back there every year, and we work Emerald City whenever we can, whenever the weather's good, and try to produce some emeralds. But from our research, we know that there's a court-martial that happened, and there's a hearsay from one of the survivors of a different shipwreck who made it back to Spain, that he helped the admiral of the Atocha smuggle 65 pounds of emeralds, and he was being prosecuted in Spain for a 2-pound gold bar, and he was upset because just a few years ago he had successfully helped the admiral smuggle 65 pounds of emeralds, and no one got in trouble because the ship went down, and nobody ever knew about it.
Wow.
So we believed there was emeralds, and until that time, that wasn't a fact. They're not on the manifest. They're all smuggled.
Now, was these inside of if 65 pounds, I mean, you think about that. I really have I'm trying to wrap my brain around how many that would actually be. And I remember seeing the picture of somebody holding a mason jar. Matter of fact, I think I have that picture, holding a mason jar full of these things. I mean, were these, what would they have been stored in your opinion?
So they were either in a wooden barrel, or they would have been in a sack, a leather sack, knapsack type material.
That makes sense, yeah.
Or a chest, even. Maybe a pottery vase, some of that ceramic clay type pottery, similar to what we found on that episode.
Yeah, I got a picture of that thing. Yeah, that neck of that bottle or that jar. Yeah.
But also, from what we've been able to find, is that everybody was smuggling, from the admiral down to the lowest ship's slave. So if they could put it in their boot or their pocket, they would. And what we've found on the Santa Margarita, the sister ship, some of the gold bars, we found more smuggled gold bars than manifested gold bars.
Wow.
So there's everybody smuggling.
Yep. Yeah. And if as long as they don't do a bunk inspection, you can get away with that. Have somewhere on the ship you would hide your couple bars that you grabbed, for one of all the shipmates having their own little stash, of course.
Or you'd chisel off enough for the tally man.
Yes, there you go. Yeah, exactly. And he'll overlook it. Yeah, there you go. Very good point. Oh my gosh. And this is, so you had, well, I tell you what, I want to get into a little bit of you personally. You started diving when you're about 11, right? Is that when you started this whole thing?
Yes. My parents took me out to a shipwreck in the Bahamas, and we were there for a few months, and that was my first time diving on a first-rate frigate, English frigate. Yeah.
Wow. And what was that experience like for you? I mean, were you all about treasure at that point because of the family history, or what?
No, I don't even think I realized it, the gravity of my family situation until after I graduated high school, many years later. But I remember leaving school in February. There was a big investor who said, I want to go treasure hunting. You guys are the people who do it. Let's go treasure hunting. Find a wreck. Something like that. And my parents yanked me out of school, and we were gone for a few months. And it didn't seem like anything different to me. It was just like a trip with my family.
Yeah.
But looking back on it now, it's mind-boggling.
Yeah, I can only imagine. That is so cool. I mean, what a treat that would be to grow up in that type of a situation, and have that opportunity. Because as I was telling you in the pre-show, so many of us, want to be. I go out with the metal detector. I got my my Garrett metal detector. I go out and I do some metal detecting with it. And right now I'm in the state of Michigan, which, there's really only one place you can go without it, and it's a little small strip of beach about a half a mile long. That's it in the whole state. Um,
Wow.
but so I think it's in a lot of us that would love to, do this kind of thing. And, so now we get to watch it through, your eyes and experience it here with you tonight, talking about the legacy of your family, doing this. And then, going on into the future. Now you've got a son in the back seat there who's going to probably be a diver and will be
I sure hope
assisting in.
so. I'm going to get him into a wetsuit as soon as possible.
They say, the kids, they learn to swim. It's amazing how babies or infants, will learn to swim on their own quite easily. There's classes for that. So I can just see you guys getting ready for that. So I've got a few pictures from the show. I wanted to show this one here. This is one actually that Linda sent. I think Linda sent this one over. And this is there was a chain that was mentioned on the episode that was an enormous amount of feet long. Do you remember what that was?
Yeah, I do. So this is Pat Klein. He was one of the treasure salvage photographers from the mid 80s through, I don't know, the late 90s. And he was the vice president of the company. Started out as a diver, though. And he's wearing a conglomerate of chain. Today, so far, we've recovered over 1,000 feet of gold chain if you were to line it up end to end to end to end. Some of them are very small links, like smaller than a tennis bracelet. So even though it's a foot long, it's not even 3 or 4 grams of gold. It's very thin, and that was the case of the 67-foot long gold chain.
67.
That was the longest chain recovered so far. And it was all balled up like a big monkey's fist knot.
Wow. And then somebody had to unravel that. I mean, just to find that. Now, to talk a little bit about, if you would, talk a little bit about the actual operation. Now, we saw with down there with the suction tube, or what do you call that exactly? It's got a name for it. The what?
It's an airlift.
An airlift. Thank you. And so is that what you use primarily when you're out there? When we're working on Emerald City, we primarily use the airlift. We lift up sand and sediment up to a sleuth system, and other crew members are physically sifting through it looking for emeralds. It's the most productive method. We have been able to find emeralds by sight underwater, but it is farther and fewer between because there is still a lot of sediment to dig through down there. Yeah. Oh yeah. And we got a little piece of that. I'm going to show a couple pictures from the show here. This is one, of course, when you were out there with the guys when they showed up, and you were kind of giving them the whatnot about what's going on out there in the operation and the family history and all of that. And that, do you call that a boat or a ship? I was in the Navy. I'm used to ships, so I don't know. Would you refer that to as a boat or a ship?
I call it a boat. People call it a vessel. It's a
vessel, yeah,
a marine research vessel. So
the Magruder. Yeah,
yep.
This was the map that I was talking about earlier that you were looking at. This debris field, and each one of these little circles on this thing is an actual marking, an actual where you found stuff, right?
So each one of those circles represents an excavation made. You can see there's some gray or clear circles.
Yes.
And those represent empty holes.
Okay. All right.
The lower area in the picture is where, when it broke apart, the stern castle went off to the left.
Yeah.
Yes. We're still working that trail to the northwest, the left.
Okay. Wow. And this spreads over how many miles again?
So far, it's over 9 miles, and we have unsearched magnetometer targets about a mile away. So realistically, it could be another mile. Could be the next hole we dig when we find the next, $10 million find.
Wow, that's amazing. It truly is. Yeah, the Atocha now was in a reading from my notes here, and thank you, Jan, for the notes. She takes the synopsis of the show here, but the Atocha was a 50-ton galleon and as we mentioned earlier, served as a rear guard of the flotilla of 28 ships carrying a cargo, and an estimated of 400 million. And it said on here also that 260 of the 265 people on board perished. So there was 5 survivors.
Yeah.
How far out? Well, we've seen the Keys. We kind of get an idea of how far out from the Keys it is. So 5 survivors of that. That's amazing, and that's where you got some of the clues about where it was and all the story behind it, popping up and then moving, and then going back down a second time and then breaking apart.
Yeah, and the ship, the Margarita, there were, I believe, about 40 or 50 survivors, and one of the other ships from the fleet wrecked on the Dry Tortugas, which today is a national park, and I believe there were about 120 survivors from that one. So there were other survivors. The 5 that were rescued from the Atocha were found clinging to the mast by one of the salvage vessels that was dispatched from Havana.
Wow, that is amazing. Yeah, that's what somebody was saying about a 67 foot long. What? Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Well, they would make chains that long because if you could wear it around your neck, it was untaxable. Jewelry was not taxed. So no possession or around your neck. If you had 60 pounds of gold, you could turn it into a chain. You could get away tax free.
How much does that weigh? How much did that thing weigh again? Did you already say that? I'm sorry.
I don't know about the weight of it, but it was pretty small links, and it was about the size of a volleyball, a large grapefruit or a volleyball, all balled up.
Well, that much gold has got to be heavy. Oh my goodness, that's amazing. And I like to talking about the operation, about how you position the ship. We got a little taste of this again when Rob Westrick was talking about the 1715 fleet, and the way that they tie it off on 3 points there to keep it from moving while you're during the operation. Now, how often? I mean, when you go out and let's say you're going to go out and work. I mean, the ship, this boat here doesn't come back every day, or does it every night? Is it?
No.
It stays out there for a while.
We try to make 2-week trips.
Okay.
And longer, we go longer. It all depends on the weather. We don't like to go out there for less than 3 or 4 days at a time because it's about a 3 to 4 hour ride out from the dock to the Atocha site with this vessel. And if the weather's rough at all, it's 5 or 6 hours and you're putting up in hard weather and high wind. Mm-hmm. So it just depends. And no, we like to stay out there as long as possible because that boat takes about 3,000 gallons of diesel.
Oh yeah. Oh,
so to fuel that every trip is tough.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Oh my gosh.
One of our salvage boats. We have another second 90-foot salvage boat just like that one, side by side. They're both ready to work.
How old is the Magruder? How long has that one been in operation? You guys been using it from the beginning?
I believe that one's 1957 was when it was made, and we got it around 80 or 82.
Wow.
But it was one of the vessels used on the main pile. It was not the ship that discovered the main pile, but it was used to carry hundreds and hundreds of silver bars and coin chests and other artifacts.
Yeah, Taffy said that chain that 67 foot long chain, she had to count every link on that thing.
Yep. So like I said, my mom was the business side of things. Counting links of a 67 foot long chain where, oh my goodness, I could not even imagine that task.
Yeah, I know. That's what some of the holy cow you're still saying after having to sit down and count those. That had to be a crazy job. But yeah, I mean, and that's the cool thing about it too, is that, the documentation. And we heard about I wanted to have you, if you would, kind of explain that a little bit. Now, we've heard different reports about, when Gary Drayton talks about something, if you are on the beach and you are metal detecting and you get a hit, whatever you find is yours. It's a finder. You get a finder's keeper is what I was going to say, but you get to keep what you find. Now, when you get into the water, that changes. The state of Florida, their bit and piece of that, and we've heard that from another beyond Oak Island where they found another ship that this was in like season 1, I think it was, where they found that ship, but they weren't allowed to touch anything on it. nothing.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. But your family owns the salvage rights to this area. Tell us a little bit about how that came about.
Okay. So yes, what we have is a federal admiralty claim, and this was before the shipwreck laws changed. It's really funny how 1980 this really started the transition from free shipwreck salvage and free admiralty claims to what it is now. It transitioned from you could apply to a permit if you find a shipwreck. You could go out there and work it with an archaeologically sound plan in mind, recover artifacts, disseminate artifacts, etc. Well, the federal government got involved and said no more, and essentially stopped it by creating a National Marine Sanctuary and implementing the Abandoned Shipwrecks Act and Sunken Military Craft Act, 1985, 1987. And they limited shipwreck salvage so heavily that there has not been another permit issued since 1987 for shipwreck salvage in the Florida Keys. Wow. It is red tape, and it is a lot of legalese and lawyers and bureaucrats.
Yep.
And we are blessed to be grandfathered in the way we are and to be able to still treasure salvage in the Florida Keys.
And how do you keep the site safe? I mean, from looters and people wanting to sneak out there. I mean, if you guys aren't there all the time, which obviously you can't be, how do you maintain the safety of the site?
So nature does a pretty good job. We have been working it for 50 years. We have the research, the experience, the boats, the crews, the divers, and we still have a hard time putting millions on deck. We do it, but we're out there pretty much every chance we get making it happen. So it's very uncommon for somebody to be out there working and us not know about it.
Okay.
And even if they were, without the proper technology, the boats, all of that, they're not going to find anything. It's a big ocean out there and a lot of sand, and it's tough. It's tough work. If it was easy, everybody would do it.
Exactly right. Yeah, it kind of I thought about that, watching the show the other night. I mean, the ocean's a big place, and it'd be hard to try to maintain the integrity of that, especially when you guys have the rights to it. So I wondered how tough that would be, obviously. And how deep, well, the area you were in in the show that was on last week, how deep is the water there in the Emerald City area?
It's about 50 foot of water, but you're working with 15 to sometimes 20 feet of overburdened sand. So in that area, it was only 3 to 4 feet. We were working in a pretty shallow sedimenty area, and able to get down to the hard packed mud with the airlift pretty easily. But sometimes there has to be an excavation made before you use the airlift because there's just too much sand to work through. Oh,
I see. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, that's where I got kind of introduced to and again, I'm so lost for words tonight, but it's the using the prop wash, those tubes you put down, and that's obviously going to be shallower water. You're not going to be in 50 feet using those, I don't think.
We are. We do
really?
with these big boats. Oh yeah, and they work well. They excavate right down to the bedrock, and usually right rim of the hole at the bottom, there's artifacts. So we really, that's like the tried and true method is using those mailboxes and excavating the hole. Wow,
that's amazing. I didn't think it would go that deep, but I guess that's a lot of power, I guess, from that. That's amazing.
And Mel's intention, these were a device Mel invented, and it was not to dig a hole. He wanted to send clear water from the top down to the divers at the bottom because the visibility was so bad. Right. And the second they turned it on, they started digging a hole and found a second use for the mailboxes.
That's awesome.
I do have a story I want to tell you guys about the Beyond Oak Island. My fiance is looking at me like she wants me to take the baby from her. I'm sorry.
That's okay. No, you're fine.
So we used a 3-point mooring system to anchor up out there. And on the particular days we were filming, the wind was just nonstop out of the southeast in a horrendous fashion the first day. So bad that we had to transfer from the small transport boat over to a camera boat, and then the camera boat to the Magruder.
Oh, wow.
And usually it's just one boat transfer, but they wanted to be safe and take their time and get all the gear and everybody transferred safely. So we had to go underneath the sleuth on the other side of the vessel, and the camera gear is getting passed underneath the sleuth, and then Rick and Marty and Matty pull up, and they had to crawl underneath the sleuth. And I was like, man, I feel so bad, like making these guys crawl on their knees underneath of it. And it was just really funny, but they were good sports, and just pleasure of my life to work with those guys. I really hope to work with them again in the future, and they're super cool, down to earth, and I'm excited to see what they find on the Curse of Oak Island this season.
Yeah, well, hopefully they will. Yeah, we're all looking forward to season 10. But that's a great story. That truly is. That's the thing about the show. I've got to meet such great people, Matty Blake, and one of them, and now you, and of course the baby back there. But
yeah, I did want to show too. I brought a piece of treasure to show.
Oh, look at that!
This is an Atocha gold chain. Weighs about 2 pounds.
Man,
cost about
that is so cool.
$250,000. Made in the 1600s.
Jeff, Christmas.
Yeah.
Get one for all of your staff, definitely.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Woo. Okay, I don't think the show. Okay, folks, I do have a Patreon channel. It's JFree906.
I'm sorry to bail on you guys. I gotta go.
Oh no.
Thanks,
you guys
Melvin.
so much.
We appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thank you, Mel. Really do appreciate it. It was my honor to have you on. Bye-bye now. What a great guy. That's awesome.
You guys, Melvin was in his car.
Yeah.
He and his soon-to-be wife and their 2-month-old were in his car doing this tonight because he didn't want to let us down.
I know. Isn't that something? That's absolutely, that's so cool. I mean, he really did go above and beyond to be on the show. And I just, when we saw that initially, when he came on in the pre-show, we were telling him, hey, you don't have to do this. You're busy. It's okay. We'll do the show with that. No. I wanted to be there. I wanted to do this for you.
Wanted to do the show.
Oh my gosh. What a great guy. He really, truly is. And I mentioned his name last night. I said Mel Fisher. I've seen it typed on different things, I did because where he advertised or talks about things, and it said Mel Fisher. So that's what I called him on last night, talking about tonight's show. And it was Mel Abt. And I kind of blew that. But anyway,
all good.
Yeah, it's all good. So as far as the show goes, we'll continue on, and then we'll get wrapping up here in a little bit. But I wanted to show when they got over to the Mel Fisher's the Treasures Museum in the store, where I guess you can buy some of this stuff.
Yes, you can buy that chain.
I can buy that chain. Look, there's all kinds of them right here. Oh my goodness. But you look at the pictures of these things, folks. I mean, look at those gold bars right there. It's just amazing that this stuff is just lying on the bottom of the ocean right now. We know how they got it. We know where it came from, which is a kind of a sad story in itself. Where the Spanish were getting this all the treasure from, and the gold and everything. But man, what an amazing thing to find the ship and to bring the stuff up. And again, those silver bars that were there. I would just love it. If I get down there, I have got to go tour this. I forgot exactly where it was. Where's this? Where's the store at?
It's in Key West.
Okay. Oh yeah, here it is right here. Yep, Key West, Florida.
Yep, it's amazing. Amazing.
Yep, it truly is. Look at those bars. Oh my gosh. That just blows me away. And then the emeralds that they were all inspecting. Kirk. I think he brought a lot of his friends with him. I think people that know him. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yep.
That's really cool. Thanks for coming by, you guys. Appreciate it. So we got a chance to see them actually up there working. Now, how many of you guys were how many of you wanted to see, any of them, Rick, Marty, or Matty Blake find an emerald. I did. I wanted him to find something so bad during this whole process.
He just
But
thought, surely there will be one little emerald in this tray, in
yep.
this whole area. They'll find something.
Mhm. But just to be part of that, I mean, I would do that in a heartbeat. I don't care if I went for weeks and months on end without finding a thing. I'd still love to be part of it. That would be so much fun to treasure hunt, and they're having a great time. I mean, look at Maddie's face. I mean, they're going through the spoils there. Yeah, I know. So is I, Renee. Yeah, we really hoping for the guys to find something this particular day. And there's a picture of the actual the airlift down there working and how they're helping to scoop it in. I was really amazed when he talked about the fact that they're using the prop wash and those Mel boxes, MEL Mel boxes. That was funny. I never heard them. I guess maybe that's what Rob Westrick called them, and I didn't catch that. Didn't put that all together. But to be able to use those to go down that deep, that's amazing. You try to get some of all that sand off to where you can get down to where the actual treasure is going to be, because over time, those bars are going to sink down through all that, even if they were on top of some of it when it first happened. That's amazing. And there's a piece of that ballast stone that they found. This picture, I don't know how true to size, but you look at the size of the cargo area of these ships, and you can imagine just how much they would have been able to carry. And that debris field being over, so many miles long.
9 miles long, and there were 250 people on there. Yeah.
Yeah. They lost
cannons.
That ship is giant. We had, when I was in the Navy, we had a crew of about 465, and we carried 800 Marines. And so, that was a huge ship. But I mean, these ships here were giant size for their day. I mean, that was a galleon. This was a band they found. It was a barrel band that they pulled up. It was corroded. And that's the thing. You have to have an eye for this to know what you're looking for down there. To be able to pick out these things like this and know that it's not just a rock or something like that, because it's encrusted so much. But if you're finding this, then that's going to tell you that you are in the right area. You might be missing it by a few feet or whatever, but you're in the right area if you're starting to find these. And then, of course, here's the picture of the actual barrel showing what those bands are. So this would be a band on a barrel, of course. And this is it after it's been encrusted over, so many years of being in the ocean. There's a picture. That's actually Melvin right there, I believe, with the metal detector going around. That'd be a fun job. Here's and this is the top of the jar.
The olive jar, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they were talking about the pitting in it, and you could tell, or you could see the pitting of whatever was inside of it. Pitting the inside edge of it along the way like that. And again, when you find something like this, you're in the general area. So you may have just missed it, but you're in the general area because you're finding artifacts. But even this piece right here, didn't they say that this piece alone was worth a lot of money? Just this artifact. I mean, and those cannons.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's a picture of a whole bunch of them. And that's that little top piece right there. That would be this right here, of course. That is just broken off the top of it. Amazing. So they're going to continue, and I guess this show is actually going to be on again. I mean, not this particular show, but we're going to see some more of this in an upcoming episode, I believe.
In a couple of weeks.
Yeah, in a couple of weeks. So that'll be very interesting. And let's see.
The episode, the last Tuesday of October, and the date escapes me, is about the Stern Castle, which was the part that broke off where he said so many people from the Catholic Church stayed in the Stern Castle area, people of wealth. And so they're looking for their treasures because they didn't have to claim them. They didn't have to say what was in them. So I thought that was interesting. So yeah, the last Tuesday in October, we'll be back on the Atocha again.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm looking for it, and maybe we'll get Melvin to come back, and he might bring some. Excuse me, might bring some friends with him. That'll be fun.
Maybe we need to get Taffy.
Yes, I know, right? I think
Yeah.
I think Taffy. If you're still out there, would you come on the show? We would love to have you join us. Absolutely. There's some of and here's Bill. A big treasure boat like
Yes.
the Magruder or a few others, they can move the sand 90 to 100 feet. But the deeper water, it takes longer. That's amazing. It truly is amazing that the power of the props could actually go down that deep and actually move that sand out of the way. I guess if you can move it, pretty easily with your hand, I suppose that would be true, right?
Yeah.
It
Jan says October 25th. I didn't have a calendar in front of me.
Oh, okay.
October 25th. Thanks, Jan.
But there's Seth. Seth Bounds go, yes, get Taffy on the show. Let's see. Okay, yeah. The treasure, the value of the treasure, even gold, is not really tied to the spot market, but to the collectibles market. Shipwreck treasure is worth several times more than the value of land finds. I wonder why that is. Why do you suppose? Just because of the history behind
The
it?
history, the age.
The work that goes into finding it, getting it, and bringing it up.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Bill, tell us why.
Yeah. Why, Bill? Give us a description on that. Yeah, so many great comments coming through. A couple more pieces that I wanted to show here. This looks like a brooch, I would think.
That's kind of the one I wanted.
Oh, I see. This is the Christmas present you were hoping for?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Oh. I couldn't even imagine what something like that would cost. Oh, that's crazy. There's another one here too I wanted to show, and this is a very large. You sent these pictures over to me, I think. This here, and this thing is amazing to me. I can't imagine how much.
Is that not incredible?
How much this thing weighs. So here you've got and they're all linked together. You can see the links. Each one of them has got it linked together. So this is I would imagine a necklace, a large necklace that would be worn by, I would think, somebody like a chieftain or something, very high.
Me.
Huh?
Or me.
Or you?
I wear that in a heartbeat.
I mean, how much would that thing weigh? I can't even imagine. But look at that, and it's got these little gems that are inside. Some of them are missing, of course. That looks like a ruby right there in that one, and I don't know if these are pearls or what these are. The white ones that are showing in there, but my goodness, what a fantastic piece that is. That's just.
I think Taffy will come on. Taffy says yes, maybe.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a belt. Oh, okay. Thank you. So this is a belt. Oh my gosh. Oh
Yep.
yeah. Yeah. RB Morris said that brooch is, so beautiful. It truly is. Wow. Okay. So yeah, my dad called. Chastity belt studded with rubies and diamonds and pearls. Yeah. Wow. What a piece that is right
It's
there.
gorgeous.
Huh? Oh my gosh. That's amazing. Yeah,
Well,
truly
Taffy,
amazing.
we need to talk to you about 2 weeks from tonight.
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah, 2 weeks
Yeah.
from tonight.
Yep, about 2 weeks from tonight. So yeah, that's wow. This was an amazing episode because this is one of those times where, we didn't see the guys pull up any emeralds or anything when they were out there working through the spoils that were coming up from the airlift. But I tell you, the fact that over the course of history of the family working this site, it's amazing to see the fact of all the stuff that they've found, and yet even after 50 years now of searching, this 9-mile area, and it may go to 10 miles. You know, he talked about the fact that they had done some scans, and they came up with another mile or so of maybe debris field that they're going to look at coming up in the future. It's amazing to see what this particular family has done there, and how long will they be going in the future with this? I mean, this could go on for another 15 years, quite honestly.
Jan reminds me that we're jumping a week on recaps. Like this show was showed last week, and we're recapping it this week. So it would be November 2nd. Okay. Taffy Abt is going to be with us on November 2nd.
Okay. Here's a question, and you guys can ask questions. Obviously, we still have Taffy with us. So, and here's one from Tom. What would an artifact like that belt be appraised at approximately for insurance purposes? And of course, yeah, if you can't answer that, it's okay. But that'd be interesting to find out. 23 pieces found one time over several months on a treasure trail. Wow. So there's long stretches of time where there's not too much found, but still anything is. Yep. Yeah. Here's more people. Taffy, look, we got a lot of people jumping on the bandwagon now. You're going to have to come on with Melvin. Priceless. Yep. Yeah, there's so much treasure out there. It's mind-boggling. Truly is. I can't even wrap my brain around what all you guys have done out there, and what you're yet to find. There is more. Oh yeah, Bill says there's more gold treasure found under the ocean than above. They say, yep. Wow, truly amazing. I tell you, we're looking forward to this, and we're going to go ahead and wrap up here. We'll run this one about an hour, but what an amazing show. And this was, again, the first episode of Beyond Oak Island. And as Linda just mentioned, we are jumping a week. So we're going to have so now just about every Thursday, we're going to have an episode now. So next week we'll be doing episode 2, which is what was the name of that one again?
The Riches of Poverty Island.
Riches of Poverty Island, and Rob Westrick will be on the show with us. He was out there.
Perhaps Doug Gossage. We've asked Doug Gossage to join us also.
Yeah, hopefully he can. So that'll be cool, because now this one was a continuation of, again, the episode that was on, I believe that was last year, where they were out at Poverty Island, and they were looking for, it was a French ship, I believe it was, that supposedly had thrown over their whatever they had on board for their money, and this money was supposed to be going down to help the war effort down to Chicago area.
Theory, or the idea, is that the French were sending money through the Great Lakes to be picked up to help finance the Knights of the Golden Circle.
Right.
Which we've also talked about with Warren Gatler and Holly Remkus.
Yep.
So lots of ties.
Yeah, lots of ties. It's interesting how this
through Lake Michigan and ended up tossing their loot overboard.
Yep. And that's not far from where I am right now.
Well, course, get out there.
I know I can get out there, right? Now, I don't think you want to go out in the water right now. It's pretty. It's getting cold, and the leaves are almost done on the tree. Well, there's still quite a few leaves out there, but they're falling rapidly right now. So, all right, folks, we're going to wrap it up. And again, I thank you so much for being with us here tonight. And again, we've got. Don't forget about Lucas and Tony, Gretchen Cornwall, and
Andrea de Brobelant.
Thank you. Going to be on our show with us on Saturday at 1:00. We're going to have a lot of fun with them, and they're going to tell us all about episode number 3 coming up of the Templar TV series. And this one was called the Sinclair. What was it again?
The Sinclair Legacy, and it just came out today on Amazon Prime.
Right. So now 3 of them are out there right now.
Right.
And then number 4 is going to be coming out, I think, around the end of the year, I believe. Something like that. Fantastic photography on here. And very good information from people. And you guys know Gretchen Cornwall. She's been on the show many times, and she's co-hosted with me. And now she's going to be joining us as a guest. And they're going to be talking about this episode number 3. So look forward for that on Saturday. James Keenan on Wednesday, the 19th at 7:30. And then Beyond Oak Island, episode number 2, season 3, episode number 2, with Rob Westrick on the 20th. We've got shows leading us all the way through till the beginning of the Curse of Oak Island on November 15th. There's more coming up next week. We got a lot of shows happening. So be here with us. Make sure you click on that subscribe button and click that notification bell so you know right away when new content is coming out. Don't forget to watch Jake Roberts and Jason Mercer that will be on Jake's show, the Ghost of Bacon. Yep, and that's on Sunday night. And then, of course, Friday night, 6 o'clock, is History Hunters with Court Lindahl and John Edwards. So thank you very much. Who said that? Oh, once again, a great show. Thank you, Leslie. Appreciate that very much. We'll catch you next time, folks, right here on the Curse of Oak Island and Beyond live stream. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you here Saturday. Bye-bye now.
Good night.